Melanie Whaley. This is the first time I'm actually using this mic, so if I move away and you can't hear me, just scream at me. I'm also going to read my notes so I don't ramble. You much prefer listening to the speakers that are behind me than me, so if you don't mind my doing that. Thank you so much for coming tonight. It's pretty crazy in DC right now, but we have some really good wins since our last social, which was July 1st. I see a lot of new faces tonight, so I'm happy to see that. First of all, on July 23rd, we had canvassing throughout the district, and Dustin and New York 19 Votes helped to organize some of it, but he wanted me to announce tonight, first of all, he's sorry he couldn't be here, he was sick, but he wanted me to announce tonight that Dutchess County was the winner with the most number of teams canvassing. We had 7 teams canvass. We had Millerton, Rhinebeck, Hudson Valley, Strong and Rhinebeck, Clinton Corners, Hyde Park, Unionville, Dover, and Millbrook, all. So he was so delighted because, first of all, we
also had Indivisible and Grange.
I'm so sorry, I did not.
Nobody knew.
Well, you kept that a good secret. Thank
Nobody.
you.
And
also,
no, not everyone can hear her. Say it.
Yeah.
so Indivisible Lagrange also did on the 23rd, and for the record, they also canvassed today, so they get a double. But what was really also exciting for us is that Dustin organizes canvassing throughout the county, and he helped organize 2 teams. But Indivisible and Dutchess County created additional teams all on their own, and I think that deserves an extra yeah. We're also very excited to announce that going forward, Hudson Valley Strong will be partnering with us. Indivisible, the fight is on, and is on the 24th of September, so just keep that in your dates. See, this is the reason why I have to read stuff, because I forget. The other good news that we've done since the last social was we have created some PSAs, 6 different scripts. Last week we shot from about, I guess the team started around 10 o'clock in the morning and finished around 7 o'clock in the evening. We had all volunteers doing it. Actors, local actors, incredible people in production. Scott is here, our director is here. Rarely do people vote the local, so it's a real push for that, and we're excited about that, and we're going to create a website called, I can remember this, no7vote.com. It's in the process of being built now, and all of the county legislators and the different candidates for 2017, we're hoping they'll send us their information, and our plan is that if you go to the site and you plug in your zip code, you will be able to find out who's running in your area and get information about the candidates, and oddly enough, that hasn't been done yet, so ITFIO is getting that organized, and we hope you'll all be able to utilize it and send it to your friends and stuff to make sure they understand who's voting, or who needs to vote on it. Okay, sorry about that. Just before you, well, I'll do that at the end. Okay, we'll skip that one. Upcoming events. There's a Citizens March, August the 12th, at the Academy Green in Kingston. We are endorsing this march. I know it's a little bit last minute, but I think we can probably get it organized. It has to do with the Trump budget, which is, I think we all know what we think about the Trump budget, and that's our next thing. Citizen Action New York is the organizers for this. If you think you're able to attend, that would be really good. We're pushing it out everywhere. All you need to do is look on the social sites or go to Citizens Action website, Citizens Action New York website, to get the information. You know, it's summertime, and I know people don't really want to have to do this kind of stuff, but it's really important. 16th of August. And they need at least 20 people to show up because they have costumes for 20 people. So you don't even like have to be seen. All you have to do is like dress up and get out there in front of him. It drives him crazy. So it'll start at 7 o'clock.
In the morning.
A.M.
7 a.m. It's a breakfast. He always does this. Well, I shouldn't say always, but it's not uncommon. They need 20 good volunteers for the theater. They will have, do you think you can say a few words since you're up here?
This is Rachel. You can do it. You have to stay close.
Hi, Mike. Okay, so I'm Rachel Berg. I'm the organizer for Oblong Valley Indivisibles. Thank you. We are going to the lucky 21st comers, first ones who not show up, but declare themselves. We're going to have suits like this for you. Nobody knows who you are. It's the funnest thing ever. I never would have done those ridiculous movements and stuff. I mean, none of it. As soon as you put that on, like it's transformative because nobody knows who you are, and it's just fun as hell. And so we're gonna have like something like this. We're still in process. Maybe 10 FOSSOs. He really hates it. 10 of them. And then we're going to have all the members of Reclaim New York who are like at the top echelon. We're going to, start 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, including Rebecca Mercer and Bannon and whatever I can't, word retrieval, can't remember everybody's name. But then we're going to have sort of interactions, trying to demonstrate and illustrate to the community, to people through the media, the relationship between Fosso, who had $500,000 behind him from the Mercers, and the fact that Reclaim New York is also Mercer funded and Bannon funded. So I'm Seal. Where's Seal?
I'm right here.
We just met, right? And also the way this works beautifully is Melanie and Jill let me know, hey Rachel, you interested in this? It's happening at Poughkeepsie on Thursday, the 16th. You want to do it? And I said sure. So this is how it happens. So now all of you who want to come, please, Seal is going to go around with my clipboard and take names and numbers if you're interested. If you say, hey, look, only call me if you're 19 and you need one more. That's fine. Or if you think it's like going to be really fun, I just got the bartender. He's psyched. He's from Ireland. He's not an American citizen. It doesn't matter. If you're pro-democracy, just put the damn things on and walk around. And we'll make a point, because he's showing up at 7, we need to show up at 7. Thank you.
I have the address here at the Poughkeepsie Grand Hotel and Conference Center, 40 Civic Center Plaza, 7 a.m. If you want to communicate with Rachel about this prior to that, her email address is on our website, indivisiblethefightison.com. All the team names and leaders, contact information is on that site. So that's how you can reach out to Rachel after today if you find you can change your schedule and get there or set your alarm. The other thing is they do have tickets. I believe they still have tickets available. It's $35. You can actually go in, pay your $35 so you can ask them a question, because it may be the only way you can ever ask this man a question. Okay, moving on. Hudson Valley Strong is going on August the 20th. Hudson Valley Strong will be going door to door to register and engage fellow New York 19 voters. If you can stand up so that if you'd like to volunteer to help her on August the 20th, it's from 1 to 6 in Rhinebeck, 80 East Market Street, but you won't remember that, so we'll make sure we get that information out there on the website and stuff, and the Facebook pages. And there'll be training at 1, and then again at 3 p.m. So bring friends. You will be amongst like-minded It's just basic contact information, and it also asks for like your skills. For example, we have a website page, and I never have time to actually keep it up properly. So if anybody in here has WordPress talents, I would love to talk to you. So it's a survey that'll help us with that if you want to get more engaged, want to know. It gives us the area where you're in so we can connect you to the right people. Peter is helping with that. I don't know where Peter is. Peter's over here. Peter is our ITFIO canvassing survey, kind of does an awful lot, and we appreciate everything he does. Jill, where's Jill? Here. Jill is just does so much work. She's also running for town board in Dover, but it's always so exciting when you see people actually, putting themselves out there instead of just asking others to do it, and we thank you for that. But she connects with our teams, and so that's Jill. If you see her email address, that's who she is. Megan, just real quick, let me just point out a few people that work with ITFIO. Megan does our Instagram and our creative graphics, so anytime you see a graphic out there, probably Megan did it, and we appreciate all the work that you put in between hours of your normal work. I won't keep going, but we have Judy, who does our data, and she's lovely, and she's talking to somebody, so I don't want to interrupt her, but, she's amazing. Okay, so moving on. Number 5, and the last thing, support campaign finance reform in Dutchess County. There's a with that. And thank you for all the work you do. You're amazing. Amazing.
Where is she?
Okay.
Pass it around.
They'll pass it around. Stand up again so they can see what you look like, and then they'll just pass it around. Yes. So just pass it around, and that's great. Okay, next is Sam Moyer. Sam works with Jill. Yeah. Everybody loves Sam. Sam is a very hard worker. He also works with our teams. He also leads the team and
on the side of my face. If I start drooling, just disregard it, pretend everything's normal. Next, I want to do a little survey. Show of hands if you called your representative, called a senator, signed a petition in the past week or two. Let's see, show of hands. It's a pretty good number. How about this time last year? How many people in this room called the representative, called the senator? So if you look around, I think you can see there are some really dedicated activists here, but what we really see is that there is a new wave of activism that's much bigger and much stronger that's really been growing up in the country and in our area since November, since January. People are standing up and saying, enough. This is not the country that I want. It's not Democratic side. I think we're seeing right now in our towns and in our communities that Democrats have let Barack Obama and some of the other national figures of the political scene carry a lot of weight for us. And as a result, what we're seeing in our towns and in our communities is that there's been less grassroots action. Disaster of the 2016 election to take place. So what I want to say to you is, what's important, the work that we do now is terribly important, but what we need to be doing, I talk to my wife about this all the time. We read Twitter, we see the news, we listen to the news, we get pissed off, and it's like, what can I do? How do I resist Trump? How do I, there's only one women's march, and so then you get confused about what to do. And so what I've learned in the last 6 months is that the answer is get pissed off at Trump and take action in your town. Get pissed off at Trump and go knock on some doors. Get pissed off at Trump and pour that energy into your local community so that the other Democrats in your town, the other progressive people in your town who believe that America is for all of us, not just for the rich, not just for the old white men, that they stand up. And so that's how this movement builds, and that's how these towns that have seemed like they're overrun with these Republicans can come back to a little more balance, or even maybe like a little bit of a, you know, progressive lean instead of like totally blanketed in Republicanism. So that's basically what I want to say. The final thing that I want to say, and I've had this conversation a few times, on the local level, when we're knocking on doors, when we're talking to our neighbors, there's more that is similar about us than is different. If you look at a blue shirt and a red shirt and you start from that point, it's going to be really hard to have a conversation. But if you start talking about the things that matter to you, about taking care of our kids, making sure that they have access to good education, making sure that the air and the water is clean for them, making sure that there are resources for families to get ahead. These kinds of things are universal. It doesn't matter who you vote for, or what you think ideologically. So there's more that brings us together than pulls us apart. So I ask you, as you meet the candidates and folks tonight, just think about how you can help engage them and help engage your neighbors, and also how to bring more people into our movement. So that's what I got to say. Thank you very much for all your time. We're going to also introduce local candidates, folks who've stepped up to run for local office in November. If I miss your name or get it wrong, please let me know. But when you hear your name, just stand up so we can recognize you. Lorette Giordano.
Giordano.
This is Cheryl Wallace. I'm running for the town board in Wapager.
Not a political position. It is a position of oversight. She won't be able to make laws, but she'll be able to give us taxpayers real information about where our money goes, and she won't just be protecting her friends in government, because she has none.
The controller is the chief financial officer and auditor for the county, so it is quite important that the position is held by the county. So as Melanie said, I do have a lot of experience as an accountant. I've been in public accounting since I was just a weird tot at 19 years old. So I've been doing this for a very long time. So I have the he just issued 3 yesterday or last week, and that brings us to a total of 4 for this year. So he's really not doing much, and I think it's important that we get somebody in that position that knows what they're doing, which would be me. I'm ready to go the first day on the job. I can be able to dig in deep and make sure that your tax dollars are watched. So
He's an accountant.
he is not an accountant. He's an attorney, I believe. So when I know a lot of you have been out there petitioning for me, and you're going to be canvassing for me, and I thank you all for that. I know how hard that is to do. But the 3 messages, the 3 points that I'm trying to make when I try to tell people about who I am is A, that I am the most qualified for the position, and B, that I am the only one that's independent. Right now, as you all know, that the 5 top positions of the county held countywide are all white Republican men. So I think it's about time that we break that up. The Democrats to say thank you again for all your help. There's a lot of work to do from that for the next 3 months. I am targeted in this position. They know that I can win. They know that I'm more qualified, and they know that I'm a better candidate, so they are targeting me. They're going to get money from the state Republican committee. They're going to get probably some dirty money in the county Republican Party. So if you can help me financially, if you can help me by knocking on doors, which I know you will, please help me get the message out there. Please help me try to fight back against that, because as we all know, the best candidate doesn't always win, but I do think that our effort door to door is what's really going to make a difference this year. So thank you for So again, I'm ready to be your independent advocate. I'm ready to start for you on day one when you get me elected. And the first order of business I need your help with, and that's to get rid of the inefficiency of the current controller's salary. He's got to get out of there. So help me get him out, and we'll make Dutchess County a better place for all of us.
Thank you.
I think at the next social I'll make my introduction shorter so you can listen to them a little bit more than me. But I don't want to do that now because that would be sort of rude. Okay, Town Justice Christi Acker is our next candidate who's going to be speaking to us. She's a candidate for Supreme Court Justice in the 9th Judicial District. The 9th Judicial District is comprised of 5 counties: Westchester, Putnam, Rockland, Orange, and Dutchess counties. Christi has been an attorney for 25 years, and she has been a town justice in Pine Plains for 10 of those years. Additionally, for the last 16 and a half years, she looks too young, 16 and a half years, she has worked as a law clerk to an acting Supreme Court justice. Judge Acker is well regarded for her intellect, patience, and common sense. She has been working hard in 2017 campaigning across the 9th Judicial District, and she needs our help. If Judge Acker wins in November, she will be the first Democratic judicial candidate to win in a non-presidential year. So let's make that happen.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Hey. Thank you, Melanie. First and foremost, a lot of people came up to me today and said, thank you so much for running. But really, thank you guys so much for what you're doing, for canvassing, for going door to door, for helping out. I was actually at a friend's house for dinner last night, and there was a couple there who I've been trying to get to vote for years and years and years up here in Dutchess County. And I keep saying to them, this year I'm running, you have to vote. So they were at the farmer's market in Millerton, and there was a table there that registered them to vote. Was that you?
Yeah.
It works. It works.
You just stay there.
And they looked through the palm cards on the table and they said, she's our friend. So thank you, because these are my friends. I couldn't get them to do it. But really, it's the work that you guys do. And really, truly thank you, because you're what makes this country a democracy. The positions that Robin and I are running for are not necessarily glamorous or sexy. We don't make law. The judicial branch is a completely independent branch. We're supposed to be independent, right? And we know that it's come under, I guess, a fair amount of criticism from the executive branch in the past several months. Robin's position is also meant to be independent as the judicial branch. I think that those kinds of concepts are so important for our democracy, and it's really important for people to understand that. And I need your help because, as Melanie was saying, my district is huge. I know you're all here in Dutchess County, but you also probably have family or friends across the 5 districts, across the 5 counties that we mentioned in the 9th Judicial District. No offense to some of the congressional candidates that were here today, but my district is even bigger. I don't mean to sound like our president by saying that my district's bigger than your district, but it's a pretty big district. When you go around, I know you need to say a little bit about me, because most people don't know about judicial candidates. You have have my palm cards. My motto, our slogan that my husband and I came up with is experience matters. I have 25 years of legal experience, 10 of which as a judge. Most of those 25 years of legal experience has been in the Supreme Court, which is the court which, if I were fortunate enough to be elected, where I would work. Before I started working in the Supreme Court as a law clerk, I practiced law for 10 years. All of those things are very important. As a judge, I know that I have to make very serious decisions, and believe it or not, in a town court, in a local town court, those decisions are more impactful sometimes on the life of my neighbors than even as a Supreme Court. For instance, I have to decide small neighborly disputes, and the very next day I may go to my local supermarket, and yes, if any of you have ever been to Pine Plains, there is only one supermarket, and I could be standing at the checkout line with two of the neighbors that I just decided the neighborly dispute the day before. Similarly, I sentence people. I can sentence people up to 2 years in the local jail, 1 year each consecutive, and it's not uncommon for me to have to do that and see a parent or a sibling or even a lawyer of the person that I had to do that to a couple of months before. The point is that I own those decisions. I don't take those decisions lightly. I've never taken those decisions lightly. I actually had a dispute over a lawnmower, and I struggled with what to do with it. I had to research a whole bunch of law and consumer protection and all of that. I own those decisions. I understand that they're difficult to make, and I understand, most importantly, that they're important, each and every single one of those decisions, to the people who come up here before me on a regular basis. I will never let those decisions become mundane to me, and I can say that because I've already been doing this for 17 years, and I think if you ever met any of the people who appeared before my judge, where I'm a law clerk, where I'm fortunate enough to conference the cases with the litigants as well as the attorneys, or in my 10 years as a judge, those are a long enough period of time. I'm not burned out. I respect that these decisions are important. I was a litigant once myself, and some of you have maybe heard this. When I was 16 years old, I got a speeding ticket. I was absolutely terrified to go to court. And I went to court with my knees knocking. And I think that that experience has been, for me, a little bit definitive in terms of how I approach the people who come to court, both at my day job as a law clerk and my night job as a judge. I understand that the people who come to my court don't want to be there. They maybe got a speeding ticket, they may be embroiled in a custody dispute or divorce, maybe they were in a car accident, or they're trying to get their contract, their deposit back in a real estate deal, or maybe they were accused of some malpractice. Regardless, none of the people who come to court want to be there, but what they do want is to be treated fairly and impartially, and they want to be heard. They don't want a judge who's going to cut them off. They don't want a judge who is going to be disrespectful to them, and they just want to know that they're going to have a judge who's going to listen to all the facts and is going to apply the law fairly and impartially. And even though I'm not allowed to make campaign promises, that is one campaign promise that I can make. So the most important thing this year for Robin, for myself, for all the other candidates that are here, as you know, is to get the vote out, not only in my district, but for all the candidates here tonight. This is the toughest, one of the toughest years to win for us as Democrats, because they call it an off-off year. There's very few elections at the top of the ticket. I am, in fact, the top of the ticket. We all have to work really, really hard to get the vote out. I'm counting on you to do that, but I can't say this enough. Thank you very much for your time.
I have a
Thank you.
This is so important. It's a 14-year term, right? And so that's what I use to convince, to show people how important it is to show up this year to vote. 14 years, right?
As I've met various congressmen across the district, they say, oh my gosh, you're so lucky it's a 14-year term. It's not a 14-year term because they're trying to make judges' lives easy. The New York State Legislature and the federal government recommend judges serve for lifetimes, in federal judges serve for lifetimes. They recognize that these positions are, that tough decisions have to be made, political decisions might have to be made, and the reason why they make those terms so long is so that you can make the right decision and do your best to make the right decision without having to fear public backlash in an election. So I know it sounds like a cushy job, but there's actually a good reason for that. So, thank you.
Before I introduce Mike Kink, I just want to say Okay, Stephen Frise, are you still here?
Yeah.
Yes, Stephen, running for Congress, and Sue Sullivan?
I think she's.
Did Sue, I think she did have
I
a
think Sue
thing.
did that. I think I'm the only one here.
Spoken like a real candidate. Okay. Okay, Michael Kink. First of all, I want to thank Michael Kink for coming tonight. He drove a long distance, and we won't admit that he's going to a party afterwards south of us, but that's okay. Michael Kink is Executive Director of the Strong Economy for All Coalition, a labor community coalition focused on economic fairness and income inequality. He has helped lead campaigns to win a state millionaire's tax, increases in the state minimum wage, reduce the impact of big money in politics, and organize with fast food and low-wage workers in the fight for $15. He has organized and participated in dozens of civil disobedience and direct action protests with HIV/AIDS, Occupy and Disability, anti-poverty and civil rights coalitions. He studied meditation, which I think is very cool, because I could do some of that every day. Let me see, I'm sorry I got off there. And worked to bring faith, activists, and mindfulness communities together for political and social activism. He is a public interest attorney with degrees from Brown University and the NYU School of Law, and has worked on economic justice, poverty, HIV/AIDS, homelessness, disability, and children's issues in New York City, Albany, and DC. And I have been an activist for only since 2007, and Mike was already, I was already in awe of him when I met him then, and he's only just continued to do unbelievable work. And I'm so, so proud that you came today to speak with us. Thank you so much. He'll be talking about the Constitutional Convention this evening.
Thanks a lot. I was gonna say on a beautiful afternoon like this, you guys must be really patriotic to kind of be here inside. But sitting here, it's clear. I mean, you guys are doing the most important work in the country. Making our democracy work, standing up for the values of our neighborhoods or communities, standing up for your own family members and neighbors. And the whole Indivisible movement, all the activism that's happened since the day after the election has been tremendously heartening for me to see. We have a huge challenge in front of us, there's no question about that, but seeing regular people step up to the challenge has been incredibly, incredibly important for our country. I went to Fasto Fridays in Kinderhook the day after the House passed the health care bill, and we all felt horrible, but we screamed and yelled, and we were on national TV, and your Indivisible groups all across New York 19 have been such a powerful force in the fight back. It animated me to get back together with a lot of my old friends who have been working all over the country, particularly on healthcare activism. I was one of the 200 people that got arrested a couple of Wednesdays ago on Capitol Hill. Got arrested in front of Mitch McConnell's office. And, we stopped those guys, right? You guys stopped those guys. It's the parents of disabled kids. It's the people with disabilities. It's the people with AIDS. It's the people in the crosshairs, people that are scared for the future of our country, people that want to fight racism and hatred, economic division, make our country a better place. So there's been some short-term victories that we should celebrate. We should all keep our eyes focused towards the things we have to do. And I wanted to talk today about the frickin' New York State Constitution, right? One of the sort of basic elements of our state here, under attack by the very same people that brought us Steve Bannon, the very same people that brought us Kellyanne Conway, the very same people that brought us John Faso, and the very same people that brought us Donald Trump. So one step back to talk a little bit about billionaires. I don't know if you guys can see this at all, but my group, the Strong Economy for All Coalition, is on the web at strongforall.org. Our Hedge Clippers project that's been targeting some of these billionaire hedge fund and private equity guys is hedgeclippers.org. Both of those things you can find a ton of information. My personal Twitter handle is @mkink, M-K-I-N-K, and you can see me popping off about various things. But we have been focusing on these billionaires a lot in the last several years, focusing on their impact on the economy, wage cuts, job cuts, deindustrialization, all the things that are pissing off right-wing people and left-wing people, working class people, and folks that are attuned to inequality. You will almost always find one of the hedge fund or private equity billionaires behind that economic destruction. Corrupting our government, right? Campaign cash, as Rachel mentioned, millions and millions and millions of dollars pouring into John Fasso's campaign from a small handful of Wall Street hedge fund and private equity managers. They gave to him, they gave to outside PACs and super PACs, they gave to Paul Ryan's leadership PACs that dump more money into our districts. All that hateful ads with the guys in turbans and the nuclear bomb clouds and everything, that was paid for by a small number of Wall Street billionaires. They wanted to make themselves richer. They wanted to protect their own tax breaks. They wanted Trump and Faso and the Congress to go work for them and not for us. These people are driving up the cost of housing, medication, college. Shkreli got convicted this week. You saw that, which is pretty great. But there are 5 or 6 other Shkrelis that have made money off of Hep C drugs and blood pressure drugs. These hedge fund guys are piling into these industries to jack up costs for regular people and to make themselves rich. And when you think about the division in the country, Occupy Wall Street, Thomas Piketty, Capital, the things we see every day where inequality is getting worse and regular people are getting screwed, a lot of the times it's these guys driving up inequality, exploding greed. And I'm not just talking, I'm not anti-wealth. I work with a group called the Patriotic Millionaires, right? They're in favor of taxing people that are better off. These are guys with 5 or 6 or 7 houses, 2 yachts, 2 private planes, multi-100,000 acre game reserves in Africa or Scotland, right? These are the richest of the rich, and they're controlling our politics. They're filling the swamp and profiting from Trump. A small handful of them have become the economic advisors and kind of kitchen cabinet to Trump. That's Steven Schwartzman talking, and that's Trump listening to every word he says like a little dog. Schwartzman has $14 billion. He runs the Blackstone Private Equity Fund. He's the chair of the President's Council on the Economy and Jobs. This is a guy that has destroyed the industrial Midwest in terms of outsourcing. Dozens and dozens of deals with lost jobs. Then he foments the anger about that to make himself more powerful and more rich. The billionaires have too much power. That headline says Sanders, Trump proposals written by the billionaire class, right? He campaigned on helping everyday people. And when he went to Washington, he came up with an agenda with the help of Ryan and McConnell and people like John Faso that screws regular people and only helps the billionaires. The scary thing here in New York is they want more. Robert Mercer, right? He is the shadiest, most aggressive, most racist, most pro-Trump billionaire. He is targeting the New York State Constitution this year. He wants a constitutional convention so they can rewrite the Constitution to benefit billionaires. So we got to talk a little bit about Robert Mercer. I don't have all afternoon. You can see some of this stuff on our web. The Hedge Clippers, we printed several papers about him. First of all, Robert Mercer is money. Robert Mercer owns one of the most successful hedge funds on Wall Street, Renaissance Technologies. It is minting billionaires. That headline says, this hedge fund may be poised to create the most billionaires, right? He piled in to this election, first on behalf of Ted Cruz and then wildly on behalf of Trump. Partially because the IRS under Obama was investigating his firm, and they have about a $7 billion tax judgment in front of them that Trump could make go away like that. So just their tax bill is $7 billion, right? So he's money. He's also technology. You guys heard of Cambridge Analytica, this data firm, right, that pushed all the Facebook and the fake news? He owns that, right? They did Brexit. They did Trump, they did Le Pen, right? They are the data digital firm behind all the right-wing pushback that's helping these candidates agitate people, manipulate people, and use the power of social media and digital advertising to do that. Mercer is media, Breitbart News, right? The hateful website, right? That headline says, birth control makes women unattractive and crazy, right? Breitbart News was run by Steve Bannon, right? Robert Mercer owns Breitbart News, right? So he put together this hateful, kind of borderline fascist media company. He put together this digital firm that is super complex and sophisticated at targeting people. He put together his billions and billions and billions of dollars, and he became the favorite billionaire of the Trump regime. Right? Jane Mayer, who wrote that great book, Dark Money, did a whole huge New Yorker piece about Robert Mercer and his impact on Trump, right? That headline, go back a little bit, Gully, the last slide there. Inside the wealthy family that has been funding Steve Bannon's plan for years. He hired Steve Bannon. He hired Kellyanne Conway. He put together the team that elected Trump, and Trump is kind of the, celebrity whack job figurehead of this campaign that is basically a billionaire presidency, right? His politics are the politics of division and hate. This is a guy that is straight up white supremacist, right? He has funded neo-Nazi candidates in obscure congressional campaigns before he got serious about national politics. He has funded like eugenicist think tanks. He is personally this crazy anti-Semitic dude, right? He has $1 million train set. He paid someone $1 million to make a model train set for his mansion in Long Island. It's a train of the Hudson Valley. So you guys may be like David and Goliath, like you guys getting at him and killing Faso and stuff like that, electorally would be powerful. He has allies in the billionaire class. We have heard tell of a private dinner at Le Cirque, the Manhattan restaurant, last August, where the Koch brothers, the famous right-wing billionaires that made a fortune in oil and gas and refining, John Paulson, one of the other hedge fund billionaires who made $15 billion in 1 year betting on the collapse of the housing market in 2007. Carl Icahn, who's another top advisor to Trump, who's been part and parcel of the deindustrialization of America. Those guys all came in together, had dinner with Mercer, and Mercer and his daughter Rebecca discussed their plans to rewrite the New York State Constitution and to make New York like North Carolina, Wisconsin, the other states that had liberal traditions, had progressive traditions, and all of a sudden swung hard to the right. They're targeting our Constitution to cut their own taxes and to make themselves richer. They have an explicit goal here. Their vehicle is this, so let's talk for 1 sec about the Constitution, right? The New York State Constitution, I don't know, has anyone ever given it a second thought? You guys know about it? You guys ever paid attention to it? You got a hand or two? We have this incredibly progressive Constitution. It's been, rewritten over the years. It was rewritten in a big, significant way around the time of the New Deal when Franklin Delano Roosevelt from this area and a lot of the folks that were part of his gubernatorial regime here in New York and then into his presidency. We have protections for public schools in our Constitution. We have protections for the environment, for open space in the Adirondacks and clean water in our environment. We have civil and criminal rights in our state constitution that are broader and more powerful and also give us kind of belt and suspenders with the federal Constitution. We can defend our rights under state law in ways that the federal government might not make available to us if things get really crazy over the next couple of years, as many of us fear might happen. Our state constitution protects pensions of unionized workers, of state workers, workplace and collective bargaining rights, right? If they try to do a national right to work thing and they try to gut unions across the entire country, the New York State Constitution protects collective bargaining rights, requires people to get workplace safety protections. The safety net in healthcare. I was a legal aid lawyer in Harlem for 5 years, and I worked for an age group for 13 years. Article 17 of the New York State Constitution is one of the most powerful tools for fighting poverty that any state has, right? If you think about why we have decent health care, if you think about why, even though way too many people in New York live in poverty, we have somewhat stronger safety net, people who are flat out homeless have some safe place to stay inside. All of that exists because of Article 17 of the state constitution, and when governments at the state or local level are not protecting their citizens' rights, lawyers can go to court and sue under the Constitution and get good judges, hopefully like the ones we may have coming up here, to issue orders to demand that the government take action, right? So the Constitution is a very powerful tool right now in New York. And the scary thing is that Mercer and these billionaire guys are targeting the Constitution to rewrite it to benefit billionaires, to gut some of these protections and to rewrite it in a way that benefits them. And they'll spend millions of dollars to get it, right? That is the scary part. They've proven that. So every 20 years, a mandatory question appears on the general election ballot. In this off-year election, when Judge Acker is at the top of the ballot, there's going to be a question that says, shall there be a convention to amend the Constitution and revise the same? So on November 7th, all New York voters that manage to go to the polling place are going to see this question in front of them, right? And a constitutional convention means the whole thing's up for grabs. And the fact is that Mercer and his billionaires have been, for the last several years, spending millions of dollars a year to create a well-financed, well-organized field campaign to organize people in rooms like this all over the state that's been a preparation to rewrite the Constitution. If we could make the Constitution better, if we were all winning, if we were kicking ass all the time and winning everything we did, and Bernie Sanders was president, and we had a $25 minimum wage, and we had rainbows and unicorns, it might be the perfect time to amend and to have a constitutional convention. But when the billionaires that elected Trump want to have a convention and they're willing to spend $5 or $10 or $20 or $25 million to run that convention, I personally am scared of that. I personally think that it would be a mistake. And so we're going to talk for 1 sec about Reclaim New York. Rachel Berg, who is here in the Faso money suit, is one of the amazing experts on this. Reclaim New York is this shadowy group. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's a 501c4 dark money secret think tank. They have been working since 2011 to push New York politics to the right. Mercer has funded it almost in its entirety. Steve Bannon worked for Reclaim New York. In his ethics filing this year, his pay last year from Reclaim New York is on his federal filing, right? Kellyanne Conway and her polling firm worked for Reclaim New York. Reclaim New York has hired a dozen young people, most of whom went to elite colleges and graduate schools, worked on Capitol Hill for right-wing members of Congress, worked for the lobbying firms that work for Wall Street, And now they're like field organizers in the Hudson Valley and the Southern Tier and Long Island, right? These are not indivisible folks. These are not like, parents with kids in public schools and, angry Lingwood voters types, folks that are protecting their community. These are career right-wing professionals, and they are creating a field army to go to work for the billionaires. They have been running, and we can talk more about this at some point. They've been running these campaigns to get local Tea Party right-wing activists to file Freedom of Information law requests to local clerks and school district clerks. What they're pulling together is an accounting of all the public spending all over the state. And I expect that what they're going to do is they're going to run a multi-million-dollar campaign that does Trump-like things. It's going to target regular, hard-pressed working people and tell them that amending the Constitution will fix their problems, that there's too much government spending, that your property taxes are too high, and they really are, that a constitutional convention is the magic bullet to fix everything. And the fact is, what they want from the Constitutional Convention is voter suppression. They want to be able to take hundreds of thousands of people off the rolls like they did in North Carolina and Wisconsin. They want union busting. They want mandatory right to work. They want to get rid of the pension protections. They want school privatization. They want to write charter schools and vouchers, other things that, the vouchers for private schools and religious schools are arguably unconstitutional in the New York State Constitution. They want to make that legal, like they are in Alabama and Mississippi, where you have like white Christian schools that are separate from the public schools, right? They want flat taxes that benefit billionaires. Right now we have a progressive tax, right? We can have a millionaire's tax. We can tax the billionaires on Wall Street more than someone that works at an auto repair shop over in Millerton, right? They don't want that. They want the billionaire and the woman that works at McDonald's to pay the same tax rate. And that is one of the most important things why Mercer is in this game. They want forced fracking, right? We blocked fracking. We have for a while, right? If you put mandatory exploitation of mineral rights in the New York State Constitution, then anybody could frack anywhere, right? They're hooked up with the Koch brothers exactly to do that. And they want to attack immigrants and communities of color, right? They want that politics of division and hate that got Trump elected to come to New York. The New York State Constitution protects immigrants. There are a lot of rights. We have good health care for people that aren't documented, partially because the New York State Constitution requires us to provide aid and care to the needy. If someone is low income and can't afford life-saving health care, the Constitution requires that. So politicians from both parties have recognized that and done that. They want to gut that. So I'm here to say, we got to stop these guys, right? We got to vote no. Part of your spring training for the midterms next year, when you're going to get rid of FASO and you're going to elect progressive elected officials all over the state, is electing good progressive elected officials this year, and possibly, talking to your neighbors about the Constitution and urging them to vote no. I'm here to inform your decision. I'm here to help you make a decision. I'm not saying you have to do this. You guys are indivisible. You can do whatever you want to do. You have your own decision-making process. But I think groups like you that are caring about our society, our future, our state, and our democracy should work to build a better New York, right? We have been working in Albany and Washington. We've been working at the town and county level to try to invest in public goods, in schools, in healthcare, in things that will help everybody. To ask people who are really well off to pay a little bit more so we can invest in our future, right? That is a fair thing and is a tradition here in New York. We're taking on Trump to make sure that our civil rights, our criminal rights, our human rights are protected. That's something that the Constitution has now that could go away. So, simple, proposal on November 11th, vote no to block the billionaires. I'll be around from now until November 7th. November 11th, dude, oh, that's harsh. This is my first tryout on the slide deck. My wonderful designer did it. So Yeah, so it's 11/7, November 7th. Vote no and block the billionaires. And thank you.
They will be.
We will put this slide deck up at strongforall.org. Strongforall.org. And there's more materials at hedgeclippers.org, but Melanie is going to facilitate questions or not.
Yeah, no, we're going to definitely do questions. And we're also, we have, you don't mind if we put this slide up on our social media
Totally.
as well. So we'll put that up as well. We'll get that to I want everyone to be able to have an opportunity to ask your questions, and I don't want to, then I know everyone's going to run. So I'm just going to say my final thing before the questions are taken, because otherwise I'll never get it in, I know. October 28th is the next social. We have a bag. We pay for all this kind of stuff, including the PSAs. We're hoping to get out. We may have to pay for it to get it out if they don't think they're PSAs. So we're trying to, because voting is so political, controversial, right? And Judy makes these for us, and so you can order them, and she will ship them to you. I will pull the raffle ticket after the question and answer. So anybody who bought a raffle ticket, you're just going to have to sit for a moment, and then we'll pull those two things. Let's see, the 28th. Pardon?
We still have postcards.
Yes, and we have postcards as well. And finally, before the question and answer start, we have pass-out sheets. Mike gave us some information that we have in there. The candidates gave us some information that we have in there. We have some information in the pass-out sheets that I truly believe will help you. So instead of handing it to you on the way in and then you leaving it on the table, you pick it up on the way out. I promise you it'll be worth it. So let's, I don't actually need to, do you want me to pick the hands, or do you want to? No, I can do it. I'll do it. Okay, let's start over here.
Okay, something very important about voting against the Constitution. That's going to be on the back of the ballot, and having taught kids, I know they don't turn it over, even the honors kids don't turn it over, so I can't picture adults. So just make sure people are aware that they have to turn over the ballot in order to vote against that.
Yeah. Flip the ballot and vote no. If you couldn't hear it, the question is going to be on the back of the ballot. So look on the ballot, the back of the ballot, flip it over, vote no.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the question was, do we have a very short, 25-word palm card on why it matters and why you should vote no? We have the material in development. There will be plenty of pre-printed, pre-cut things. One of my questions in working with folks like you guys is, do you want your own? Do you want to communicate to people as Indivisible? Do you want the red, white, and blue stuff like this? I think we can do it and work with you so you have it, and we can print it for you. The question is, what do you want the sort of look to be? And the answer is yes, we'll have the materials, we'll have it in your hand. We can print, thousands of them if you want.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Jill.
Michael, let's say worst case scenario, it gets voted in, that there's a constitutional convention. Does it come back to the voters? Do we have another opportunity to...
Yeah, it does. So there are two things that happen.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question is, what happens if there is a constitutional convention? And there's a couple of different steps. One, we elect folks to the Constitutional Convention. 3 from every state senate district and 15 statewide, I think. So you guys are all going to have to run for office, including you guys that are running for some other office, right? You're going to have to go run for the Constitutional Convention, because the regular candidates are, party regulars. Your assembly members will run, your state senators will run. Some of them you may like, some of them you may not like. If we get into that situation, I want more regular people that know what the hell they're talking about and aren't connected to the big money. But that's a long shot, because if Mercer spends $15 million this year, he's going to spend $50 million next year. The Constitutional Convention would then meet after the members were elected. They would come up with a proposal, and then that would go before the voters again. And part of this is them setting up a Trump-like election in New York every election for the next 3 cycles. They want that dynamic of division. They want that anger, that racial division to be on the ballot. The way they did with gay marriage or trans rights or things like that during the Bush years, this is their tool on that. So voting no would get rid of it. If it ends up passing, we're going to have a whole other task in front of us.
Are you going to be flooding the internet and YouTube with this commercials like type advertising and beating them to the punch?
Well, there's going to be a lot of flooding from all the sides. There is a kind of mainstream coalition. There's a lot of folks, left-wing and right-wing, that recognize what's good about the Constitution, Democrats and Republicans. There will be a kind of mainstream push to vote no. There will be Mercer and his millions to vote yes. There is a handful of admirable progressive reformer type people, some of whom I work with often on other campaigns, that are encouraging people to vote yes because they think that they can elect reformers to this, and I'm just not convinced that'll happen. We're admittedly kind of the fiery populist end of this. There will be some materials that look and feel like this, but there's going to be a whole lot of other materials as well. And so one of the reasons that I think indivisible groups are so important is that you guys are talking neighbor to neighbor, right? Groups that you're working with, like Citizen Action, like Community Voices Heard, like the New York Immigration Coalition, they'll be working with us to urge a no vote. So, it may be people power against money power, right? We showed that could work on healthcare. Come election time, it's going to be tough, but that's why I'm happy to be here inside on a beautiful day too, because you guys are really important in this fight. Is ALEC involved in this at all? ALEC is the American Legislative Exchange Council, which is a right-wing billionaire-funded think tank that drives conservative right-wing state legislation. They set up a lot of the laws and policies that were pushed in Wisconsin and North Carolina when they took blue, purple states and made them into hard right states. All of these people that are funding this effort also fund ALEC. ALEC has not filed any public filing that says, yes, here's our dream plan for New York and here's all the money we're spending to do it. They're staying in the shadows a little bit. But I expect that they have already written the playbooks for the appeal this year, for what would happen in the Constitutional Convention next year. These people have endless amounts of money for polls and media. They will come up with a tested message that may be able to deceive people. This is a fight, right? This is the fight is on, right? This is you guys. And ALEC will be one of the many other chunks of resources that they'll be bringing to bear against us.
Is that it? Any questions for the candidates? Any questions for ITFIO?
Just if you would just let them know that Carolyn is right here for those who have not yet signed the petition.
Any other questions for Mike?
I just was thinking that I know that the approach for the candidates and advocating for them as you talk about both the state and the local, but I would think that you throw in there some kind of a reference, even if it's just a one line, the need to vote, against it.
That would be our hope. I think we would like to work with your canvassers. I think as you guys move into GOTV mode, we would really like to support you. If you feel like this is an important part of what you want to do, we want to help you do it effectively. And, materials, training, stuff like that, we're going to have some help. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, everybody. October 28th, I'd like to thank Wallace for all the work he did to help us create all the volunteers that have helped, and all of you guys who help every day in so many ways by calling and canvassing, and thank you for coming here in the summer. Yes.
Yeah.